Mayor, it's 9 o'clock.
All right, thank you.
No, we need to back like that before the meeting's over.
Okay.
As soon as he's back, I'll let you know.
Okay. Good morning. Let's call the meeting to order. Today is the 25th of October. We're here for a regular monthly meeting. We're going to stand for an invocation, followed by the pledge of allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for your blessings, knowing full well we need you in our life. And we just ask you to be with us today. Ask you to guide us. Lord, help us to be quick to hear your voice and only speak and do what you have us to. We thank you for these things, Father, in Christ's name.
Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll, please.
Mayor Cassie.
Here.
Mr. Collins.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Wolf.
Here.
Mr. Welly.
Here.
Thank you. All right, we're going to just move into our agenda. First off is citizens' comments. Are there anyone here today for citizens' comments? Yes, sir. Welcome back.
Well, thank you. First, I want to say, Doug, thank you very much for putting that fence up. I mean, that stopped all the problems right there.
At 8th Street.
Yep. Couple of quick questions. I've been watching your guys' agenda while I've been gone, but there's a couple of issues I want to ask about. What's the deal with the bar that's going in down the street from me? Guess you haven't heard about that one yet, huh? I mean, just going through the parking lot over here for the residential with the Mexican restaurant, and now the talk is from the people who down there about putting where the post office and the stained glass place was a neighborhood bar. There ain't even any parking there now. So here's a heads up on you guys to think about that. Because that's going to happen. That's what they want to do. They've been talking about that for months. So now you know about that one. Next one is that I went to every dog and pony show that the paper company put on. Every one of these meetings that was here, I came to. And I asked the same question. What the hell are they going to do for a road for the boat ramp? And all I kept getting the whole time was, we'll take it under consideration. We'll look into it. How are you going to get boats out of that boat ramp unless you put a separate road in to go from the apartments down and then out on 98? It's coming. It's going to happen here real soon.
The road is coming too.
Is it?
Yes, sir.
So calm down.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't have been anything about that. So they are going to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. How about the bridge coming over? I mean, you guys know that have boats. You pull out of that lot, nobody comes over that bridge doing 35 miles an hour. By the time you see a car at the top and you're pulling out with a big boat behind your car, it's there. So I'm sure they're looking into that, doing something.
It's a DOT road, Brock. I'm sure they've got engineers that have looked at that. That's
Yeah,
all
we
I-
know about the DOT engineers. Which brings up the third question.
Wow. You got anything good to talk about?
Right here. I mean, that's good right now. You got the road, so that's good. You got the fence up, which is good. The dunes ain't being trampled.
What else?
What's DOT doing about the all nice shrubbery on the beach that died?
I didn't hear the question.
Shrubbery on the beach.
I mean, you look at it now, it just looks like garbage compared to what it was. All them trees are dead and everything else that was planted there. Are they going to come back and just put seagrass down or something? Nothing? It's just going to stay like it is? I mean, the palm trees look nice, but you go up to the palm trees and you look down the beach now where it goes down and back up. It looks terrible. Looks like a junkyard. I mean, that's...
I've seen them replacing some of those.
We do have the contractor bringing sod. David's working with those folks to replace the sod at the top, clean up the top, so they cut down some of those bean plants that were there. A lot of the stuff would not survive there, so they had some issues with things that they were going to put back, but their landscaper's working on it.
That's under a 2-year
Yes, sir.
plan.
Still have another year.
Okay, so that's being taken care of. And just driving here down 15th Street, it looks nice where we're doing the ditches, putting the sod in and everything. That's cleaning that up nice. It's a good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Tim King, 504 Gaffney Lane. I just wanted to say that talking to other people, residents in town, I think, and the way I see it, it's very discriminatory in this town how codes and rules and regulations are enforced. It's only on certain people. Some people can do whatever they want. Just back a few years ago, Mayor, you remember what a big deal it was for you to have the garbage cans behind the house. Now we have businesses with all kinds of commercial equipment on our streets, and people have to look at that every day. I think it's disgusting.
Are there others? Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda. We have some minutes from the October 11th. Is there a motion to approve by consent?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any corrections or additions noted? Let the record, any objections? Let the record reflect the consent agenda approved 5-0. All right. Excuse me. Moving on to the regular agenda, number 1.
Mr. Mayor, we've had an emergency call where the employee of the month had to be called onto a call, emergency
Okay.
call. So if we
We'll
can
come back to that?
Yes, sir, we can. We can go on to item number 2, department
Okay.
reports.
All right. Debbie, good morning.
Good morning. Right.
We're ready.
Everybody has, all right, let's talk about it. Exciting. You guys can bear this. All right, so in October, that's the expenditures, and then the cash is in September. So we haven't collected any revenues hardly. It's the first of the month, so we don't start collecting our ad valorem taxes until November, December picks up, and the bulk of it comes in the first of the year. But you can see that the revenues are probably pretty close to where they should be for the enterprise funds, and then you can see the breakdown on the second page. Any questions about the revenue? No. Okay. For the expenditures, again, it's the first of the year. There's hardly, not a lot of expenses. So you can see where we're close to the 98%. And then just mainly salaries and just a few repairs and maintenance items. So nothing too outlandish there going on with expenditures. And then if you go to the next page, which is cash, it outlines where we are as far as the cash balances as of August, the end of August. I know we had talked about the designated accounts, doing some combinations or some consolidations of those. And Doug and I are working on some proposed resolutions to outline those consolidation accounts, and then bringing the reserve balance up to $2 million. But we're a little low on the cash balance of what we've had in the past on the general fund and Hurricane Michael at $1.3 million. But you got to remember that's the fluctuating number because of all of the reimbursements we're getting from FEMA too. So it's a little less than it was last month, but we're waiting on a couple reimbursements. I think we just got those in last week for about $800,000. So you'll see that fluctuate back in the next month. Any questions about the cash?
So just getting the reserve fund up to $2 million is just moving those designated accounts around.
Exactly. We're going to talk about taking it out of the utility tax funds. The balance would be to adjust it to $2 million and then consolidate everything else that didn't have state restrictions. So that would be basically everything but paving and maintenance, infrastructure, and that would be those. Those two would have to stay as restricted, and ARP money. But everything else could be consolidated, and we could realign the purposes based on council discretion.
We had discussed in the last meeting to keep the funds that grow, like the Pier Fund as well as the Canal Fund, separate as well. So that's what we'll be bringing back to you as well.
And the boat launch.
That's what I meant.
Not the pier.
Not the pier, excuse me, the boat launch and the canal.
What we discussed last
Yes,
year.
sir. That's what we're bringing back here.
Debbie, what's going on with explain the sewer and sanitation fund into the pool cash?
Sewer's always been, ever since the 2018 after the hurricane, it's been in the hole. It's eking itself out, so, and the next sanitation fund, that is, we're gonna see a difference in that when the prior year gets officially closed out, because the fund balance, that $195,000 will be coming back over to the sanitation. So that once the year gets closed out officially, you'll see that number change. It'll still be negative, but it won't be nearly as much. The sewer fund, like I said, is eking itself out of the hole. But with the enterprise fund,
How do we get that big a hole?
it's been that way since when I came back. It was over $1 million in the hole.
Really?
So
That's,
I think
well, when you say in the hole, let's define that. What, we're running a negative balance every month?
yes, yeah. So they've been in deficit for the last couple of years. But part of because the enterprise funds are kind of like a utility fund, the water and sewer fund can go hand in hand. So the 1.6 million of the water fund can subsidize the sewer fund. And so that's what they've been doing, you know, as far as the, on the books, it's a full cash situation, so it's not a big issue yet until we get done with all the FEMA stuff. So once we're done with all the FEMA reimbursements and all of the insurance, well, the insurance is done, we should be in a better place with the sewer fund. So again, remember we're a couple of years behind. We're closing out fiscal year 21 with the audit, so these numbers will change based on some FEMA reallocation.
Are we reconciliated up to date?
Yeah, the bank reconciliation is through August, so that 831 number represents that.
Okay. Thank you.
And then when the auditors do their presentation for the close of fiscal year 21 financial statements, we can go over that too if you want, so they can talk about that.
Do they expect the audit to be on time this year?
We're just closing out all the field work for fiscal year 21, so they should have their financial statements in the end of November, and then we're going to start fiscal year 22 in March. So we will be back on a normal schedule
back on
for fiscal year 23. Yep. Thank goodness.
Right. You have to remember, for close to 4 years, we haven't seen these types of balance sheets. So it's been,
Yeah.
while those numbers are out there, they're not necessarily in the order that they're in now, where we can actually see how we're operating, which is a blessing.
Right? It's a lot better than it was, it's for sure. 'Cause, you know, I mean,
And
it
frankly,
was a hurricane.
we're better off than probably what all of us thought we were.
Yes. And to be honest, I think so too. I'm better off than I thought we would be.
Okay. Wow.
Any other questions about the cash? Okay, to round out the cash going on, we submitted all of our paperwork to the state. We're just waiting on, final approval. So everything's done as far as the property tax submissions. Again, like I mentioned, the fiscal 21 audit, all the field work is almost complete. There's a few items still outstanding for them to look at. And then fiscal year 22 is still actively being, with all the closing journal entries and stuff in-house that we do in preparation for the auditor. I expect them to start again, like I said, in March with the fiscal year 22 audit, and then just doing all of the third quarter reports for payroll stuff.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Questions for Kevin? Debbie?
I just want to say that, I mean, just getting these financials 25 days into the month, being able to look at the budget, look at the actual and the variance. Good job. Good. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Debbie. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay. Bye now. All right. We're going to move to number 3, which is BDI change order for the pier. Go ahead, Doug.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mayor and Council. You'll see in your packet change order that's been identified for changes to the pier design and an option for a bait house. We'd like to bring that before you today. With me today, I have Dave Hemphill from the BDI to discuss any questions related to the change order. And please remember, we have another item after this related to the pier overall, so if it gets commingled, it can, but this is specifically about the change order to move the bathrooms off the pier to their old location, as well as adding a paint shop for design. So, Dave, you're here. We also have Dina Batista here if there's any questions related to the floodplain height of those buildings.
Good morning, Dave.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Okay. Why don't you give everybody up to speed on why we're moving the bathrooms?
We put the bathrooms on top of the pier when we believed that the flood elevation required a permit. Each structure was at 17.1 feet. So, number one, we elevated it. Number two, we used the ramp, so we wouldn't have to build a separate handicap ramp when we built that restroom out in the parking lot. There's been a change in building code. They do not consider that bathroom habitable. So FEMA said if it's not habitable, it can move back. It has to be built to FEMA code, which is 9 foot plus 1.5 feet of freeboard, 10.5. The sand at that location is plus or minus 10 feet. So we're basically building it on the ground. If you have a heavy storm, we're going to build it such that you can hose it down, clean it up, and put it back in operation. If it's a real heavy storm, we'll rebuild it. The other thing, it does not have to be pile supported. We believe it did have to be pile supported at that location. So with those changes, we acquiesced to FEMA's requirements, and we're going to put it down there. One other positive of doing this is the state of Florida said, well, then this restroom can serve both the pier and the beach. So, you know, if you're walking off the beach, you can use the restroom. It's going to be sized in the same fashion as the old one, which is not a very big restroom. Basically, a men's and a women's, and that's it. So, that's what we've got.
The code changed.
Yes. In all my years, we consider the restroom habitable.
Everything we've done here since the storm, we went through
They require
a year and a
you.
half of arguing with them about Sunset Park.
Now Parkway.
Yep. They pulled that out from under me. I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
Yep. I don't know if you've seen this. Just kind of.
Well, it's in our packet.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, we're with you.
So that's how it came from on top of the pier down to the bottom. The bait house. You did not have a bait house before. If you want a bait house, you're going to have to pay for it out of your own pocket. That's part of the deal. We thought that in concept, the two buildings would relate to each other. Bait house would kind of be a control building where you'd have somebody keep an eye on things. You could sell beverages, hot dogs, fried fish, French fries. The state of Florida is a little hanky on this, but you can also sell bait. Just don't do it out the same end of the building, you know? So, that's the concept of bait house. You have some rough numbers in there. All that equipment that goes into the bait house is not included in that. That's just the structure. So, same way with the restroom. All the lights will have to be turtle friendly. just as if it's on the pier. So what that means is there won't be a lot of light in there. Typically, we put a lightweight air conditioning unit in it, and we keep the lights inside the bait house so you can't see it from outside, and the state's okay that way. So that's the nuts and bolts of it. You have a concept. That concept is not cast in stone. We can change whatever you want. The location is going to be someplace between the parking lot and the foot of the pier, which is almost 200 feet. So that's where we're going to put it. There'll be a central core walkway between the parking lot and the pier, and this will be either right on that walkway or just off to one side of it.
One thing to note is the opportunist time that it was for us related to the bait house design. We're already doing survey and we're already doing coastal permits. A lot of that stuff's already in the process for that same location. So that saves us approximately, you'll see how it's about $10,000 cheaper for the bait house versus the restroom. The restrooms will also have power and water, everything like that. There'll be lights. I think there was no light before.
Yep.
So it'll be upgraded. However, it is not as big as some of the other ones in the city.
Yep. And it will not be conditioned.
So you can also see the cost of the pier. Restrooms that are on the pier related to the cost of the restrooms in the previous location. It cuts the cost in half for both of those facilities should we want to do that. So I wanted to make sure we brought those opportunities to you guys ahead of time so we can make a decision to go forward. I think it's in the best interest of the city to do this at the same time.
Well, for me, the bait shop has merit, but it doesn't have, the restrooms are too small. Putting one back and one other, I'd rather put a men's and a women's on one on each side.
I agree. Again, that's FEMA telling us what we can put back. That they
I
will
know,
pay
but
for.
if we're gonna have to pay for the bait shop, we're gonna have to pay for the other restroom. Is my point.
Really the design.
I mean, one, a woman, a man's,
Yep.
one each.
One each. That's what you
Yeah,
did.
that's what, I know that's what we
Yeah.
had, but what we're coming back with and what's gonna happen at that street, that's simply,
It's undersized.
just simply the underside.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah, we all agree.
But we can pay for it if we want to change it, the additions.
well, if we're gonna have to buy a bait shop, we can buy a restaurant.
Yeah, and we've got 300,000 in a pier account.
So my point being, for me, I'd rather see larger restrooms instead of a bait shop.
Okay.
Is there an option like we did before, Dave, if like we've designed a bathroom for Parker Park and we're electing to possibly use that at either the 8th Street or under the Palm so that we have it bid separately so we could go larger if we wanted? Is there an opportunity at that location for the bathroom to be larger if we wanted to fund that one to be larger?
Yeah, we could design a larger restroom. We got to work with FEMA on get you reimbursed for that. And Dina,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
would they reimburse a partial if we wanted to upsize?
Yes, the danger is we are trying to avoid calling it an improved project because that's going to cap it. We're hoping this remains a replacement project in kind as it was because then FEMA will base the costs on the actual bids and we know that the bids are going to come in higher than how FEMA has priced it currently. So we would prefer, I think, for it to be based on actuals and not be considered an improved project. If we increase the size of the restroom, they will consider that, I believe, an improved project because we're increasing the size. We're not putting back what exactly was there before. But we could explore some other options if we want to keep the restroom and bait shop potentially a separate structure, a separate project. That might be an option. Remove it from the pier, from FEMA's eyes, so that the pier goes back as it was. And is not considered improved, but I think we would need some additional discussion with FEMA to confirm that they'll look at it that way.
Well, let me ask you, they're gonna pay for this picture. They're gonna pay for this over here, right?
They would pay for this, yeah.
Are
As
they
long
gonna
as it's
care if it
inside.
says women only or men only?
We might be able to break it out.
Well,
Yeah, we might be able to. But there is a risk to that. So I think probably, on the one hand, Dave could go for it. Today, we're not talking about the construction, we're just talking about him getting able to design underway, right, for the bait shop. So we have time, I think, in the interim, as long as his costs for the bait shop in terms of design are separate, to figure that out and have those discussions with FEMA and see what our options are.
Well, I like the thought of just keep it a shop, keep it a toilet, what we change it to down the road.
That's what the mayor said.
I agree with it.
I mean, we've got property right up the street that, 2 lots up. If we wanted to commercialize the pier, we've got a place to do that.
Yes, sir.
The restrooms are crooked. That's always been, I mean, it was an issue pre-Michael at that location. It's gonna be more of a
Could your design, Dave, include like the shell of that room could be converted? You mean, because you're already talking about plumbing and electric and everything inside of there. You got restrooms, you just need the toilet.
You bet. So you build it on one side, and then you mirror it on the other side, and you have women on one, and
men on
for a total of 4 facilities. You can do that. Sure.
And then we can alter it.
Can we do that if FEMA blessing?
We could do it in a 2-step process, I believe, Gina. We could build the one and bid the other one separately.
I think that would address the issues with FEMA.
So it'd be a male and a female on one side and a male and female on the other as designed, and then later down the road, possibly, you know?
Change the subject.
Yeah. Just red tape.
I believe me. I understand. You
Preaching, am I?
well, I mean, between Dean and FEMA, I'm more educated. But I think for me, that should be a restroom facility in its entirety, and not something.
I agree with that, because we're starting out, we'll open up a can of worms for a bait shop, employee, furniture, I mean, on and on, stuff that would have to go in there.
Yeah, so, all right, so is that a consensus that we want to try to do that, and then whatever y'all think
That
we
would
need
not
to do
change.
to make that work?
Wouldn't change my numbers here. That'd be the same stuff, just the way it's set up.
Right, inside.
Yep, we're just changing happy to glad.
Okay, I like that. All right, does that slow us down?
No, no, yeah.
That's the main.
Okay. All right, so why don't we just sort of, we've got the change order, we need, we're going to have some public discussion. Is there any questions while Dave is up there? Yeah, oh, come on.
What you were talking about, with the bait shop and stuff, the bathrooms, yeah, that's a priority, that needs to be done. The bait shop, to me, you have Shell Shack, you have the other place, you already have that here, you have local businesses. I don't think we need a bait shop, that's just going to be another expense the city doesn't need to deal with. I like, that right there is the way to do it. And one quick question, your pier at the end there, you got the flyover things? That can't happen, right? Didn't you say something
That's
about
correct.
the you can't have that?
That's not correct.
Okay.
Yep.
I didn't know if that changed or not.
No, we just didn't change the graphic.
But yeah, I mean, that idea of the bathrooms has to go. You have to have that.
That's what you see.
Okay, are there any other questions concerning our pier and the moving the restrooms back down to the foot of the pier where they were and maybe expanding that? Okay? All right, so we'll close that discussion and move to the table for,
We're gonna say main house. We just
no, we're gonna just,
change
I
order.
think, change order for, it's, again, we can call it what we need to call it, but it's sure, we want to expand our restroom. That's the purpose of what the change order is for.
Correct. And if I could get that approved today, I'll get going on it.
Okay, are we still with this restroom design in the FEMA funding mode?
Yeah, it's part of your project, yes. It's included in your project.
Okay.
Yeah, FEMA, so, I mean, never sure, right? But FEMA does allow for change orders, so we will certainly submit that as part of the project.
Okay.
Yeah. And FEMA's requiring us to move it.
Move it.
So I think there's a good chance they will approve the change order.
I'm curious, in the code change, only because I'm just sitting here, it's rolling my mind.
Sure.
That's a state change?
It's-
Or a FEMA change?
So it's a little confusing. It's not actually, not to correct Dave, but it's because this particular location is seaward of the CCCL, but not within the VE zone. It's in an AE zone. So that gets really technical with the floodplain, but because of that,
whoa.
the requirements we the code still applies to Sunset Park and the marina restrooms as we had interpreted it. It's just because of the flood zone, it's a little bit different. The
Here,
requirements.
this location is seaward of
It's,
this?
it's very tricky. Yeah, it's seaward of the CCCL, but not in the high velocity V zone. That's the difference. Okay.
Okay,
We're getting what we want.
Yeah.
yeah, let's try to move on.
Thank you, Dana.
Okay, is there a motion or discussion at the table and or motion to accept the change order?
I make a motion we approve a change order 4.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the change order. Any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mayor Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Pollock?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Okay, there you go, Dave. Now
Thank
you
you.
move forward with that and move right into our update on the pier.
Since I was here last, we talked about permits, and since I was here, you received your state of Florida permit, your DEP permit. It's approved, we're behind, that's behind us, so that's the good news. And I also explained to you last time that the permits were sequential. We had to get the state permit before the feds would review theirs. So we got the state permit, I transmitted that to Tracy Wheeler in Panama City. She got it, she immediately transferred it to the FEMA folks. FEMA has taken delegation from the Corps to do all the coordination on this permit.
Tracy Wheeler is the Army Corps.
Correct. She's right there in Panama City Beach. So it's up to FEMA to do this delegation. And I think I told you before, once it goes to the feds, we have no control over it. They're on their own clock. They have no statutory requirements. So FEMA's going to take that over. Dina, tell me about in our conference call, FEMA said that they were not going to require any additional studies from environmental issues.
They accepted the
Yes.
biological opinion we put forward. They're going to confer with all of the federal agencies
There's a word.
to confirm it. Yeah. So we don't think so. If they do require any additional studies, they're going to do them. Yeah.
So that's the clock we're on. We'll talk to them again, make sure that everything's moving, but that's the time frame. We looked at bidding your project to see if we could accelerate it. The prices are such, I talked to several contractors, they said, prices these days, we'll hold them for maybe weeks instead of months, and we're talking a long time, longer than that, so that's not an option. We can't accelerate it. So, and I don't think FEMA would allow us to bid it without their approval anyway. So that's the critical path is FEMA's coordination with the agencies. The good news is you had an existing pier, you had no seagrasses, we have no historical issues, it's in Creeding Beach, it's growing. We don't expect to see any surprises on the studies. So it's just moving the paperwork.
Submerged land lease, how did that go?
We got that approved. That was part of the DEP.
That's included in the DEP?
It is. Again, DEP would not issue without state lands. State lands says, all of a sudden said, we're okay. So DEP issued. So, and we got it in writing. So we're good for that. We do have in the restroom, not to back up, but just to tell you, since we are seaward of the control line on these two structures we just talked about, we'll have to have a permit for building seaward of the control line, but that's included in your change order. And that will not in any way hold up the pier. So that's independent. We got
Was that the
plenty of time.
last, are we When you say Tracy Wheeler has the documentation and they're gonna confer, is that the last part of getting the permit?
Tracy Wheeler told me when I spoke with her, once FEMA says that the agencies have signed off and she gets a piece of paper saying that, she will prepare and issue the permit in their statutory requirements, and that's 30 to 60 days, something like that. She will not do any more studies.
What happens to the, let's just fast forward to when that happens.
Okay.
We send that to FEMA for final approval?
Yep. So,
Is there any clock there?
not that I know of. What we want is their blessing to put it out on the street for bids at that point.
Yeah, but at some point, they're gonna have to say, okay, here's how much money they're gonna have the final say in the dollar amount.
That will come once you get your bid in. Because it's not an approved project,
For now, yeah.
Standard land,
standard project, and say they've approved 7 million, it comes in at 8.5, they tell us that we'll get the 8.5, whatever it is. And it'll be a competitive bid. We'll have several bidders on this.
Hey, why don't you talk about the structure, if you can roughly keep the
Yeah.
for everybody to see.
The state of Florida would not approve a pier that would be subject to repetitive loss. They're just not going to do it. And they got this 20-some page document of how to build a fishing pier in the Gulf of Mexico, and I've worked on it in the past 3 piers. And the whole idea is to lessen the load on the superstructure, so when you get a big storm, the superstructure, which is the expensive part of the pier, stays, the deck goes, and it's sacrificial. And so we got these panels, I think there's like 100 and some panels in the pier. And they're wood panels on all the other piers you've been on. The wood deteriorates after about 10 years, plus you get slivers, plus it's heavy timber and it's treated to a high extent, so it'll stand up to the UV and the salt. And it's always been a problem. After 10 years, Navarre Beach re-decked their pier for a little over $1 million, cash money. I've been looking for an alternative, and I've got, this is fibercrete with steel reinforcing. It cuts and it drills just like wood with the appropriate saw. It'll last twice as long as wood, and it still functions as a blowout panel. You want a blowout panel to be heavy. You don't want it to be light. You don't want a little storm just to flip it out. You want a big storm to lift it out. But you don't want you don't want fishermen lifting out the panels. That's a dangerous thing. So that's
it's not a solid piece, but it's got slats in it when it goes down?
It's got about a 1/4 inch gap between them, just like lumber. Just like lumber. And it'll be put into, it'll be attached to a insert in a wood insert into that opening. And the opening's about 3 by 4, what you see there. And in the hurricane that I was in for Pensacola Beach, we lost about 50 of those panels. We recovered about 47 of them, and the whole repair work at the beach at that time was $45,000 at direct hit Cat 4. So we're trying to minimize the repetitive loss, and I think that'll be much better on your feet and it'll last a lot longer. That's what I'm going to propose that we use. We looked at fiberglass. It's wonderful. It's very expensive.
It's going to have highs for heat.
It'll get hot, just like concrete.
Okay.
It'll get hot. The wood does too. So that's, as far as design, that's the only thing different that we have here.
So the rails and everything would be wood,
The
right?
rails are wood, the stanchions attaching them are concrete. They'll be handicap accessible, so you can roll your wheelchair right up to the edge there and drop a line in. There is lights on it, but the lights are not going to be very bright. The turtle people have really cranked down on that, so there's not going to be a lot of light in there. And what will happen is fishermen will bring their LED lanterns up there, and we'll have to talk about that.
We did get the permit on that, so it's our light.
One question about the, excuse me, I think at your last meeting, I know Dina mentioned it months ago, we were still discussing conferring
I like that word.
We were conferring about where the pier would start and where it would end. Did that, or have we settled that?
That's been resolved. Yep.
Okay, so the length of the pier is exactly the
45 feet.
45 feet.
Yep.
So I'm hesitant to say it's resolved until the project's obligated, but as far as we know, we responded to FEMA and they seem to understand that we're shifting it. So that, the outlying issue is the restroom. So we think we have. Of course, it's not obligated yet, but yeah.
Point taken. It's the same size piers that you had before.
Yeah.
We just moved it seaward because you have an accreting beach, and we don't want to fish in 6 feet of water. And the state of Florida told FEMA directly in our conference call, we would not approve it to fish in 6 feet of water. That's ridiculous.
Inaccessibility for ADA on the height.
Okay. All right, questions for Dave? Anyone have any, while we're on the pier, the design and what it's going to look like? And yes, sir.
The material you have there, that's covered under FEMA?
Yeah, this is.
We won't have to pay extra for it?
Correct. That's my goal. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
You're saying wood rails and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Does FEMA cover the, not the plastic, you know what I'm talking about, that other material?
The Trex or whatever. That's a little bit toward betterment. It's more expensive. We've not had problems with the wood on the rails lasting. It's the stuff on the deck that's been.
Okay.
There's a flagpole, I think, also there.
Yep. We need a flagpole at the end, definitely, and it will not have a light because you got turtles. So you'll take that flag down every night.
Is that a requirement?
Yes, sir. If you have a flagpole, you will take the flag.
Oh,
down.
I know, but
Yeah.
it's the flagpole.
No, it's not. It's not a requirement. If you don't want a flagpole, you don't have to have one. So,
It's gonna be.
Only because we didn't have one and we're into putting back like kind.
yeah.
We argued with them about that dang sign that they couldn't find. And anyway, questions? Anybody?
Did you mention a pier that this has been used on?
This?
Yeah.
No, this is new. All the other piers are wood 3x4s, or 3x6s. Heavy timber 3x6s.
So there's no history on that?
No, there's not.
All right, Dave. Thank you very much for coming
Thank you.
over. Appreciate your input.
I'll be back with, next time have good news.
Okay. So the bottom line in all of that discussion is we don't have a time frame for our people. But we're moving closer to having one. Is that the right way to say that?
We asked you, could you give us a time frame?
No, you asked.
Dave.
Yes, sir.
The most questions I'm asked by the citizens in this town is, when are we gonna get a pier? And I want you, and I know what you think, yeah. But with you saying it, see, I can blame it on you.
And I can blame it on FEMA.
I understand, but they don't understand FEMA like we understand.
It's a function of when they feel the agencies have been satisfied, and the major agency is Fish and Wildlife, National Marine Fisheries. Those folks, if they believe that this facility is not going to impact their charge, sturgeon or whatever, turtles, then they'll go ahead and sign off. But they have no statutory requirement. The state of Florida, if they don't respond in X many days, you get your permit. The feds aren't that way. They have no time frame on their rule. So they can do it in a month or a year. Typically, the Corps has taken a year. Now, we've already started this, and we've got all the documents to them. I have not done this conference with FEMA in the past, so that's something new to me. The other piers that I've worked on, we went straight to the Corps. I'm guessing it's going to be springtime before we can bid the job.
Thanks. That's all.
Did I shuffle?
Yeah, so excluding
Yes,
that,
sir.
the unknown of not being able to have a timeline
Yeah.
because of FEMA, what is the build time?
They build this thing in 30-foot segments per week. And it's gonna take right at a year. And once they get started, they'll walk that thing through and they won't miss a beat, rain, wind, doesn't matter. They'll walk it through 1 week, 30-foot segments. Boom, boom, boom.
They do it on the top, no
That's
bottom,
correct.
thing, just go
You
through
can
there.
even
I
have
think
surf
it's
underneath
really
them,
good.
doesn't bother them. And then they back out and they finish it off, and that takes about 2 to 3 months. So total time is right at a year.
Yeah, Dave.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, by approving the change order, the council is moving it forward, because this was something that FEMA pushed back and requested we do. So rather than draw it out and argue, I think you're moving it forward by approving the change order and moving the rest of them back.
That's a good point. Good point.
All right, thank you guys very much.
Yeah, that's what I
Thank you,
wanted to
Dave.
do.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna move then to number 5.
So the next item on the agenda is a task order related to the lift station at 14th Street. This lift station is deteriorated drastically and it is now serving more people than it was in previous time frames, and the future development that is possible surrounding that one. So we have worked during the budget time. You guys asked me to look into some options for this, to utilize up some impact fees. I've worked with Dewberry for their design team to kind of look at this lift station and what we would need to do to build one without taking anybody offline at the same time. So Dave Rising's here. If you could come up front and ask any questions about just specifically the 14th Street lift station.
What area does that service for?
Looking at the map, basically everything on 15th Street from Wallace Pump west of the bridge, it all kind of flows into a manhole and then dumps into that lift station, and then the surrounding area right in there, the streets around 14th.
Probably 13th and 15th, or
A couple streets either way, yeah, give or take.
okay, go ahead. Or questions for? This one's been a trouble for some time.
Also have Glenn here if you have any specific questions. We do have some of the deterioration inside down in the wet well and things that are beyond it. The pump size is undersized, and this would effectively improve all of that.
This is building a whole new lift station.
Yeah, so we'll do a whole new station directly right next to us, since you guys own the property where the city hall used to be. We'll do a whole new station, and once that's running and operational and trouble-free, we'll demolish the old one.
And the new line or the new pump station, it's force main, a 10-inch force main to the main line.
No, we won't replace the force main from the pump lift station to the 10-inch, but we'll evaluate it and make sure it's.
That's what I think why we were in there. I don't know how far. What inch line is that nowadays?
I think it's a 4-inch leading going to.
It's not a 2.
No.
Oh, okay.
This is $49,000 to do a design. Not the parts or anything like that.
They'll prepare the bid. They'll do inspections. They'll do everything along with that, surveying, everything.
What would a lift station like that cost? What if you were going to say it's going to cost $50,000? I mean, what number would you put it at?
Maybe 200.
Just something like that. Okay.
That's all three-phase, everything's three-phase, and we have to keep the same boxes and same electrical components.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's 3-phase.
This one is a 3-phase.
But
The city's moving everything to 3-phase.
yeah, we actually need to. But is this going to, and I read it, but I didn't see it in there, I probably read it too fast, but is that, the pump panel that we swapped out, is this we're going to get a new pump panel, go in that existing, or we got to get another one?
The electrical.
Oh, you're getting everything's going to be brand new. So
I think it'd be a little more than what you said.
given market conditions, yeah.
And my only concern is we just need to make sure that it comes out of this pump and goes to the main, that we have enough pipe while we doing it let's make sure we have big enough pipe to do it.
Yeah. I mean, other people smarter than me will design this thing, and they look at the discharge lines.
We ain't smart to do it. Okay, that's my only concern was make sure that when we need this station. And I like the idea of rebuilding. And then when we get through after, and I know this won't happen next week, but we can just, there won't be nobody out of, no pumps, no irrigation motors sitting out running. I just want to make sure that we have enough pipe to get to the plant. That's my
So Doug, if we design it for 50, where are we gonna, how are we gonna pay for this?
I'm recommending using impact fees, which that we have on hand. We talked about those a little bit earlier.
What's the
Sewer impact fees.
I mean, we've looked past the design of how we're gonna do
Over $1 million. We just, I don't have that number.
it. It is over $1 million.
I know that for sure. I just don't have the exact number. I don't think, sir. That was the plan for both of these two items.
This is not the only one, that's why I'm saying, if we get this one, then we're gonna have to wait a while before we get the other one. or-
These are, again, these are just design, that's all it is. This has nothing to do with doing it.
So the two that are on the agenda today are the most critically dysfunctioning ones that we have. We have one other one for sure that we're looking at, and then some three-phase power and a few others that we're working towards. So the goal was 14th Street is going to fail. It's just not a matter of if, it's when.
Right.
So
Well, I don't disagree. I don't think anyone here is disagreeing of the need. I just want to make sure that, not recent, but there have been times that we've designed things and they sat on a shelf so we couldn't pay for them. I don't want to do that.
that won't happen here from these two, sir.
Okay, so,
And the impact fees can be used because so much has been added to the lift station.
We've increased capacity, yes, sir, and confirmed on both of these. I talked with Debbie as well as Clint, and we've confirmed that we are eligible for those fees.
Okay.
This moment, another lift station is on the bypass plant as we speak.
That's why
we're well aware of the 14th Street lift station is a commonly known issue. Any questions for David? Anyone out in? Yes, sir.
I mean, it's a stupid question, you say impact fees. All I've heard, for every development that goes in, where you have the capacity to do everything, we have the capacity, we could build 3 times as much. These developers that are coming in need to pay for this stuff, not us taxpayers. They're coming in, putting in 200-something houses here, 200 apartments,
They pay
more
for all
here, more
that.
there.
They pay for that.
Well, what are you saying, impact fees?
That's the impact for new construction.
Is that gonna
Yes,
pay
sir.
for all this?
Yes, sir, that's where those come from.
Pretty good.
Yes.
Will this gentleman here be doing the actual work?
No.
So it is going to be a design to it.
Yes.
Kind of stout. Usually design they will stick it in with bids.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Any questions today? All right. Any other comments from the citizens? Okay. We're going to, then we have either a motion to approve or further discussion on the 14th Street lift station.
Mayor, before we get in, I guess I want to have a little bit more discussion, I guess, at the table as far as 49,000, and right behind that's another 25,000. These are 2 different lift stations. One's a grinder, one's the 14th Street. $49,000, and knowing that we're going to have to spend another maybe 300,000 for installation. That I understand. And we say we're going to get the money from impact fees. So are we gonna step out when we go on number 2, we be doing the same thing?
Yes, sir.
We may be looking at $500,000.
So what do we do to fix it? I mean,
Well,
we fix it.
I think you tackle one. This is the 3-phase, changing the 3-phase, the second part.
The balance for the sewer impact fees is 1.88 million. 1.88.
Well, right now, we're on the 14th, we're on item number 5.
Right.
Okay, that's where we are. So we have, are there any other comments on the 14th Street lift station task order for design? Okay, discussion or motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the task order for the 14th Street lift station.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any further comments? Call the roll, please.
Mayor Kathy,
Yes.
Mr. Pollock,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Wolf,
Yes.
Mr. Welly.
Yes.
Okay. Now we're moving to number 6.
I'll start with this one, Mayor.
Okay.
This one's also a discussion related to sewer bypass station. It's a duplex grinder lift station at Nanook Road. When the Nanook Road lift station was initially built, and you've seen it on the side of the road there in a very small portion, it was probably 30 homes online. Now there's over 70-something homes in that neighborhood that it's servicing. It's far under-serviced, and it's constantly breaking. It needs to be upgraded as well. We've confirmed also that we could use the impact fees that we have on hand related to the design and implementation of this lift station. This is also on single phase, so we would work with Duke Energy to bring it to 3 phase as well.
Okay.
David, I live near and I see people over there working on it all the time. I agree. But my question is, I know we just approved this other station. Why don't we add another $25,000 to it?
Because this one is a little bit different situation. This one does not have the ability to put a bypass pump on it. There's no valve box. So we're going to have to, because the real estate's so tight right there, we'll probably have to go across the street on one of the corner right-of-way pieces, put the valve box in, and then go underneath the road back into the station with new pipe work. And then whatever flange work and upgrades that's going to require. In addition to, it's all single phase right now, so we'll have to redo all the pumps and panels for 3-phase power.
So we're paying $25,000 more.
It's going to be it's a separate project, so. And this one's going to be dependent on when Duke Energy can get the 3-phase power to the station itself. So it doesn't do us any good to go and make the improvements if the 3-phase isn't already there. So that's gotta get that first, and then we can go through and make the rest.
Where's the nearest 3-phase here?
This building for sure.
Yeah, they had conversations with Duke several months back about it, and I think when they come back with the city's portion, $150,000 or so to upgrade to run it out there. It's several blocks from what I know that.
That's one of the reasons I think after the storm went with single phase at some of these locations was the extreme cost of the amount of ones that are still on single phase.
Okay.
Excuse me about it. There's no program, and I hate to say where I come from, but if we run a 3-phase motor from single to 3-phase, if we use so much horsepower, like more like it was from a 25 to a 50 horsepower motor, then our power companies didn't charge us. They don't have. Do you know if we have that program with Duke?
I don't know. I'm not aware of what's going on with that.
Because we're going to have to pay for that too.
The city. We'll work that out with Duke, yeah.
But the kicker here for me is on this first and second page, out of New Road. It says, during our site visit on July the 6th, we also noticed a big layer falling beside the wet well, which is likely contributing to the pump and clogging issues. really the valves is inside that wet well, which is. I just hope we don't run out of money for it.
Doug, are these asset capital items or what?
Well, yeah, there'll be capital for the cost of them. We did have, I just mentioned a minute ago, we had $1.88 million in the sewer impact fees to utilize for the building and construction and design.
Is that why we didn't put it in the 23 budget, or why didn't we put it?
We pulled some money from ARPA money into the budget to cover some of those costs. Since then, we've identified that it is eligible for impact fees, so we would not utilize the ARPA money for that, as previously discussed, because we put in funding for upgrading to 3-phase, but the design came back and it's just completely needs to be redone.
It's obviously something that wasn't a surprise, so we had that conversation at the table.
I agree with you.
We did. We put it in the budget. We're not going to utilize the budget money because now it's eligible for impact fees, in which we need to use.
If we quit, I'm like Richard. If we keep adding up, you know, just the design fees and then what we estimate or guesstimate what it's going to cost, that $1.8 million, it won't last long. But we need to fix it. I mean, we have to.
Is there any idea, I know we've already got an overload of what's supposed to be on in them, in making the new station, how much more we can add to it?
The limiting factor is going to be the wet well. I mean, we're not going to change the wet well for this one because there's no real estate to move it, so we're not going to be able to make it any bigger. It all depends on the pump curves once we get to 3-phase and how they operate. It's only a 2-inch force main leaving that station, going into a gravity manhole about a block away, so that'll be a limiting factor too, unless you want to upgrade that to a 4-inch. So there's all kind of components you got to look at, but we'll maximize it as best we can. I mean, we'll look at what we can get out of it, but there will be a cap.
And future growth for municipal complex area behind here would come out of a different place, right? Would not be connected to that lift station.
To Nanook, no, there's at one time the option for the municipal complex, we could come through the wetlands and tie into right at the end there where it kind of goes into the woods, into Nanook, but it's anything that gets developed back there could, but we intend to do a separate lift station for that municipal complex, so any additional tie-in in that area can go to that lift station instead.
So this one's more of a repair than a capacity building.
Repair upgrade.
Overdue upgrade because the double capacity that it's taking right now.
But yeah, this one's a little bit more isolated, so you'll be limited to future growth of what lots are already on the ground.
Well, I'm sure we already dropped a lot of money into keeping it going. Like I said, I see people over there all the time pumping and everything else. Okay.
Let's is there any other comments? Okay. The infrastructure, if you keep up with just the news or the other municipalities around us, infrastructure with the growth that is happening around Bay County, Gulf County, there's meetings like these at every city trying to decide how to do that. Some of those, we've done a rather remarkable job of keeping our infrastructure up to date. And I know we got some help from the FEMA folks, but look what we had to, quote, pay to do that for our city. And these are things that's why you have the impact fee. Remember, that's a revolving account. It's going to grow as we come online. So, and unfortunately, these are big dollar items, and it's going to take. In other places, if you talk to some of those people, they've ignored them for years, and then they get this growth spurt, and they're in a terrible shape. So these two items have been identified for well, I mean, we tried to patch them up, but we just reached the point that we just need to move on with it, so, in my opinion. All right. Is there further questions for David and or?
One more.
Okay.
Just one. I know you know if we had the list of all, how many do we have? 14? How many do we have this time?
20,
20?
26.
26.
Ooh. These two, what I'm going to ask you is, going to come back in a month and say we got one that's in worse shape than these two.
That's based on the city and.
That's on Mr. Dave Glenn.
These are the worst two.
That's the question I'm
I
asking.
think those are the worst two. We have others that have some problems, but these are two of the ones that we really need to address.
Okay. That's good.
Okay. All right. Is there a discussion or motion?
I make a motion to move on the Newberry task order to repair and improve the duplex grinder lift station and then I'll second it.
Motion second. Call the roll, please.
Mayor Patrick?
Yes.
Mr. Pollock?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Welling?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, we do have our firefighter employee of the month that is back. If you would like to go back to.
Yeah, let's go back and catch that. Absolutely.
Sandy, the fire chief this time, Sandy Walker, will be coming up to go over the presentation.
Morning, everybody. For those of you who have not met Ryan yet, Ryan has been here since 2017. He's one of our now 7 firefighter EMTs that we have working in the city throughout the week and year. He was a vital part of not only pre-2008 storm, but obviously post-storm, and he's been here working hard and driving me nuts. No, I'm joking. So, it gives me great pleasure to be able to bring him forward today and recognize his work, not just recently, but throughout the last 4.5, 5 years. So, with nothing else, Ryan, in here is a card from the city, a little gift card inside of that. Your full half day off. Just so people understand what I meant by that is if you're a city worker, you get 8 hours off. These guys work 24-hour shifts, but for me to lose them for 24 hours would be difficult. So we actually only give them 12 hours off. I work them hard. and this is yours. All right, to put wherever you want. All right. So again, thank you very much indeed. I appreciate everything you do for us. And we're working hard to turn him into a driver operator. He's done the first part of that class, so he can become an engineer as we build our department and towards the future. So without further ado, if you'd like to say anything, we may do. It's a bit hot having just come from a medical. So
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it was a little warm out there. Not much for speeches or anything. I just want to say thank you. It's great to be recognized, and it's a good feeling. It's awesome. But thank you, and I wouldn't do it if I wouldn't do it for you guys. So I'm here for the community. Thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
Ready?
The only original one.
Hello, excuse me.
Ryan Gallagher.
I myself, I actually signed up a few weeks before he did.
Yeah.
I wanted to say one thing. You can talk vehicles.
I learned from watching the best.
Yeah, you helped me, and I do appreciate it.
Thank you much. Thank you.
One of the biggest things for me was we were short a porta potty at an event. And he went and got the tractor and hooked it up and drug it up. So that's just a testament to the fire department here in Mexico Beach. They don't shy away from any kind of challenge, so congratulations.
And overcome.
Thank you, Ryan, very much.
Thank you.
All right, always a good part of the meeting. Number 7, that's me several months ago, maybe. I discussed it. I was going to try to give us something to look at for our administrator annual review, And in your packet is what I consider to be something worthy of what we could use to do that as far as an evaluation. I would hope that we can discuss it, or if everyone has looked at it and is satisfied that that review form is adequate for what we're doing, then we will just, what we've done in the past is all of us would do our own review. We would sit down with the administrator and go over your individual review with him, and then it would become part of his personnel package. So I would hope we could do that by the end of the year. So that would be my suggestion to us as a council we can discuss the form. If you want to change or do anything different with it, I think this one meets our needs. So it's really just for coming back to you, back to what we talked about several meetings ago. Has everybody had a chance to look at it and find it to be suitable? Then from then you'll take that and find the time between now and the first of the year to do your review with the administrator.
I already got mine filled out. I'm ready to jump on you.
All right.
Do we do it? Do we just make a time with
Yeah, just make the time, sit down and go over with him individually. He technically works for all five of us, so. All right, that's all that is, just more of information.
You need to approve the actual design of the form.
Sure.
Okay.
That's a
I
long
make a motion we approve the design of the form.
I'll second. All right, we have a motion and a second that the form is suitable. Where'd that come from?
I'm looking at the agenda.
All right, then, is there any objection to the form? Motion carried 5-0. Okay, form's approved. Moving on, project list.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I can kind of go through those with you guys here. We did get some good news back related to our bathrooms at 8th Street as well as Parker Park and Under the Palms. All the design came back from the architecture firm as well as the engineering has been done on those items. Bid documents are being drafted to go out any day now related to the items that you guys approved for sizing, and then we would bid that out and bring it back to you guys for a decision. So along with that, the design is included that we've already discussed for Parker Park as well as Under the Palms Park. And then we will bring all that items back to you for a decision once it's bid out. Yes, sir.
I'm glad you brought this up, and I put Mr. Bill on the stand on the, how long, instead of us using the restrooms, the portable restrooms, can you give me a time limit on these 3 bathrooms that we really need drastically? I mean, before I see it, can you? I know you told me, I think David told me that if we'd ever get them back, design back, he would put it out for bid, and it would be. Can you give me a time limit? I mean, something I wouldn't hold you to until the next meeting.
Well, we should have the advertisement out, end of this week.
Yeah.
Figure we'll give it a month to bid.
Yeah.
Once we get the award. As far as construction goes, you're probably mimicking like a Sunset Park time frame. Maybe a little bit less.
December, we'd have the Christmas party, we'll have the back with the bids, and maybe we can get started by the first of the year.
Yeah,
that's
reasonable.
I'm not holding you up, David.
No.
People ask me questions, and I can't answer them, and I know we've been. I'm the bathroom. I think that's critical.
Right. And our hopes are to bid them out, and hopefully we get the same contractor to do them all, and that kind of helps speed the process up as well. So we will continue to push hard on that. Yes, sir. The 15th Street bridge repairs is nearing completion. We're waiting on a contractor for the asphalt repairs. For some reason, we can't seem to get any asphalt to finish the sides of that road, but that's on the corner there at 15th Street, so that's should be finishing up shortly. That's the only thing left. The 15th Street pedestrian bridge and sidewalks, there's been no advancement on that. We're still working on some kind of formal letter from the state on those appropriations. We have not seen anything either way yet.
But I'm like the mayor. Have we called and asked about these? This is something new to me. I never have heard of it. I'm glad we got, but I don't want to be waiting on us to.
I have called, I don't have a firm answer either way.
There's some,
Maybe you can.
there's some, what's the right word? There's some discrepancies about items that are gonna get approved. Evidently, at the end of the session, several things got put on the list, and I don't think that the governor has fully decided. I think some things got thrown on there, and they hadn't been fully vetted. Maybe it's the best way to say that. So I think not only our project, not only these that we were so excited about are in jeopardy, but I think there's a lot of things in jeopardy in that budget, in the state budget.
That's.
And some of the appropriations, you know, like our representative now is a senator, or soon to be a senator. He's not in the House.
So.
They put these things on his list.
Okay.
You got me? We're following it, but there's a lot of gray, maybe all of a sudden, that has surfaced about funding in the budget.
We're still exploring every avenue. Remember, the DOT still has the feasibility study. We're waiting on final answer for that bridge as well. So we got multiple opportunities working towards that. The bypass pumps are continuing on hold due to excessive costs and bids. At this time, we've not moved forward on anything on those. Citywide stormwater repairs, 15th Street was mentioned earlier. They're nearing the end of, as they're coming around 15th Street, they've made some good updates. They found some pipes that we didn't really know that were underneath ground. They were able to get backed out. So they're flowing again instead of having a deep ditch. That's by the Palms, Tommy. Deep ditch by the Palms. There's a pipe there that we can be able to cover that up as well. So we're revitalizing some of those areas around the corner to make it more aesthetically pleasing as opposed to just a ditch everywhere. So that is moving forward. We still don't have a final answer on the remainder of the stormwater repairs for the rest of the city. Brian tells me that they're any day now supposed to make an answer on that related to the amount of money that we sit back and did that was over what they originally promised to us or said we were approved for. So we're waiting on that final answer. The dredge is still anticipated for December of 2023. The jetty, we're awaiting final confirmation that it was sent out for consultations. So that's kind of what, like Dave Hemphill was talking about earlier. They're sending that out to the agencies, but they have not told us formally that they've done that yet. So we're waiting on that confirmation. The Marina, boat ramp, pavilion, and fish cleaning stations are all near completion. It's exciting. The pavilions over at the Marina are set up for substantial completion by 11/1 and final completion by 12/15/2022. So we're meeting with those folks this afternoon to kind of go through the punch list for a substantial completion. We met with them last week as well, so they're getting very close to turning that over to the city.
What's left?
Well, they're still doing buttoning up things on the gate. They were fixing some stuff with some of the landscaping just got completed. Hopefully I have better news today. James Totten told me that he was ready to turn it over for TCO while they.
You're talking about now the canal,
Yes,
not the fish, not the boat ramp.
No, I was the only one I was talking about was the canal pavilion. Yes, sir.
Okay.
The other ones have a final punch list that we went through.
The gate's too small, isn't it?
For the bathroom?
Yeah.
It seems like they're having trouble with it being off kilter for the clothing, but it fit from as I saw it was closed up yesterday.
Can we back it in there?
Yes, it's in there now.
I know it's in there.
It ticks out a little bit. I know what you say.
They're trying to.
It's gonna take a little maneuvering if we ever have to pull it out, put it back in there. We have to get our advanced vacuum man.
They did. They did add on an additional piece of the deck so that it flushed up directly to it.
It looks great. I know that. It looks awesome. The landscaping looks good. The everything down there looks. Yes. But when you're talking about the boat ramp, Marina.
They had a couple items on the punch list. Some of the stuff in the bathrooms had started to show rust signs, so they're getting that stuff squared away. They've got some of those, the panel on the side, they had all those strings, the metal wires. They were loose. They've kind of fixed a lot of those things up. So there was just minor things and sign off, but they should meet their deadline of substantial completion by 11/1. There's no doubt on that. The marina with boat slips, we did talk about that last time. We are finalizing the administrative policy to bring back to you related to covering them. We're also working with the city attorney to finalize the contract that you guys approved between the owner of Slip 50 for his lift. So those are moving forward. Parker Park, I mentioned earlier about the design, the engineering design, and moving forward. Parker Park Waterway, I don't have any update. We're kind of, I spoke with the developers for the development behind there, Sweetwater, and they are waiting on their permits. They've gone through the Corps and DEP and everybody, and they still say that there's going to be no problem with filling in that front portion if that's what we'd like to do. The pier, we talked about that through BDI earlier. Thank you guys for approving that change order. The next item is the police fire municipal complex. We have submitted the packet to FEMA for the 8-step process. Ryan and Dina did that this last week, and we're trying to establish costs related to that. So there's not a whole lot of good news for that. However, they have David Lucas has confirmed that they were going to help try to push this project through with the region as reviewing it to kind of help get us a little more traction on it instead of back and forth. So we think positively about that situation. Sunset Park, we're waiting on the final invoice to come through, everything to close that out. They've installed everything for their lights. The DEP permit came back with nothing. Tommy and I are actually meeting over there to discuss some pavers on the walkway now that it's finalized, where you can see the grass is pretty rough. To put down there to kind of keep that looking nice there. So we're working on that as well. The surge gate for the canal, we're still reviewing our options for this project. We're working on an idea to possibly combine it with the stormwater project that we received for the $8.8 million over on the 80 acres. We did actually receive that letter yesterday, confirmation that we got that money from the state. Now our goal is to work towards the DEO to cover the 25% match. So of that $8.8 million, we still have to come up with a match, so we think confident we can work with the DEO to cover that, so it'd be 100% funded and the city wouldn't have to expend anything for this improvement, which is something that was not needed prior to the storm, so it should help all the way around for us. Under the Palms Park, again, we talked about that earlier, design to go out to bid. And the underwater debris removal, we've signed, the contract is signed in hand for that review. We're working on our task orders to bring back for the underwater debris out in the Gulf. It's approximately $450,000 project that's funded, and we'll be bringing back some more information for that soon. For me, Mayor, that's all I have on the project list, unless there's any questions related to any of those.
Questions for any of the projects that we went through? Anybody? Dave, we're good? Okay. Do we have any projects to add? Do we have any projects to scratch off? Do we have, sometimes we become repetitive with this
Surge gate.
Do what now?
The surge gate, but that, he just said, he mentioned it, so he had something going on with it.
Was there anything we can take off?
No, I'm actually adding the regional stormwater facility, the 80-acre project. There's works that we're, maybe if we want to talk about anything related to the surge gate, there's hopes for us of possibly that $10 million for that project, combining it with something we're doing over in the regional stormwater related to maybe possibly an 8th Street. So we're looking at some options to bring back to you. We didn't find anybody that was in the area to bid out for that gate at Parker Bridge, so we're trying to look at our options. So I request to leave it on there. It's still received money, approved money, obligated money.
Okay, did we have on the list at one time the water going under the canal, the connection, and we took it off? Or am I wrong?
On 8th Street?
No. Over on
Parker Bridge.
On the bridge.
So that's still
We got that water pipe still going over there.
Oh, yes, sir. So they've made the connection up there. They've done the back T samples that are sent off. We've been working with the contractor. That's like a dream of mine to get rid of that. So we're pushing as hard as we can for that. But it's very close. They've connected everything across the street. As soon as they all get signed off for that, we can have them remove it. We've already spoke to the contractor that would remove it for us. So, and that didn't cost us anything. It's why it took a little longer than it should have. But all the bores that were done, everything that was done in that project, has all been corrected.
Okay, good.
Okay. So then you're up again.
All right. Under the staff reports, the first thing I want to bring up to you is a little update related to the boat ramp. That was brought up earlier this morning. The St. Joe Company called me yesterday. Bridget from St. Joe Company called me related to the boat ramp entranceway. As you guys are aware, I talked about before, they did get DOT approval for both entranceways, which one of them was always in question for us. As you come across the bridge, and then they had their main entrance, and they were at one point combined the two, and we said, no, we need some separation. And they have worked hard with the DOT and got that approved. So they have their permits in hand, and they're ready to start the construction on that entryway. You can see by the dirt on the other side of that boat ramp road, it's going to be elevated fairly high. The second entrance will be a little bit closer to the bridge that will turn off on there. This does not include anything at this time related to a turn lane inside on 98, but that is designed into the plan from DOT for the resurfacing project for next year. So if you're heading eastbound, there would be a spot to get in the middle of the road to turn so you didn't back traffic up. They're also working on the drop lanes and things on the other side. We have not received full implemented plans for those permits installed yet, but we're evident to get those any day now. She did ask in a very nice way that we need to open the gate at the back for approximately a month. Originally they were talking 90 to 120 days, and I said that was not something we were interested in at that time. They came back and said that they're effective for October 31st, which is this coming Monday. We would usually open up the back gate for an entranceway into the boat ramp for about a month, depending on how the construction goes, to allow construction vehicles as well as boat traffic to go in that way. I've worked with the Sheriff's Office, Marty, to use those signs that we have, the nice blinking signs that we could put up for a detour at the time to kind of reroute the traffic, but there will be very little entranceway coming in on the other side for about a month. So that's the game plan that I have right now. We are looking at some ideas over there for related to the traffic that's going down that road and getting kind of stuck. I've gotten calls twice a week for the last 3 weeks from Jay Cooksey for some of those folks that are doing work over there to come open that back gate because the semi is coming the wrong way on 36th Street and then couldn't get through. So we've had to let them in and out to go for that route. So we're working on some traffic redirection. A lot of that has to do with the address for the boat ramp and how traffic is, when you type in the address for the boat ramp, it takes you that route. So we're looking at some possibilities for that to hinder the folks, especially down in that circle, because you've seen that the circle is a really small circle past the boat ramp, and you cannot turn around there. There's just, I got to pull in the back end. I'm not the backer that you guys have. But if you guys have any ideas about that or comments, but that did come directly from St. Joe, and they want that gate open for that period of time. And I spoke to a couple of the neighbors over there in the neighborhood and gave them a heads up too.
It does. I do know that if you put that in your GPS, that it's going to take you
36th Street, yeah. I don't know why it does that.
They sit over there with them semi trucks and sitting there, and I'm saying, no, where does he go? He can't go nowhere. And you can't back up, really.
No,
Everybody back in the road. So we have to open the gate. I mean,
we put a no outlet sign. We're gonna figure out a way to slow it down. But it will be open starting next week while we're working through a process for the future. So that is very understood, yes, sir. Even the 911, when the call goes, tries to send you that way. So it's saying there's options there too. I think last time we talked.
It's like Rock said, we've been needing it.
Just an update quick. Last meeting we worked with this lot split with the market. Remember they had 30 days upon approval that you guys passed that lot split to get their permits. They've closed out all but 2 of them, and they're working with the building department to close out the final 2. So they're making every effort to move forward with that, as well as the parking changes on the storage pump side. So just a brief update on that. That's all I have, sir. Unless you have something else for me.
Anybody? No, sir?
No, Doug, I have something for you. As far as the budget, I mean, we started off real good with this financial thing in the 25 days, getting that information, budget, variance, everything. How do you do that internally with each department head, like a Tommy that controls about $1.5 million?
So now Springbrook, before my arrival, didn't have the ability, we didn't have this process, but we did. We've implemented it now where they get a monthly report and they can get it on demand if they want. They've been shown how the system to go in and pull their budget down So they get a hard copy. If they need to look at it online, we can do that at a moment's notice. Springbrook's actually working with me now. I've asked for a dashboard that would show departments as a circle, kind of a pie chart, so you can see used and how much is left. That was one of the upgrades that was just done that I asked them to work on specific for our funds.
Springboard's a program?
Springbrook, yes, sir. So government thing. So that's, I don't know if they had that before, you may know, sir, but I've asked them for that opportunity, and also access like for Sandy and all the guys that, like you said about the budget, can go in and look at it. Some of them keep specific spreadsheets so they know how much you're working on each one. I hold them accountable just like you guys hold me accountable for the budget. So,
So Tommy, you check that out on the computer? And
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Debbie sends us usually monthly, of all my departments, so I have the ability to look and see.
So you know your totals at the end of the month. I mean, some of them are uncontrollable salaries and things like that, but there's other ones in there that you keep an eye on, fuel and building, maintenance equipment, things like that. Hours, overtime, all that. Just, that was kind of a housekeeping thing for me to understand.
Okay, moving on. Mr. Attorney, what you got for us?
I have nothing specific to report. From the attorney, no news is usually good news.
Okay. Council members, got anything, maybe? Jerry?
Everything, I'm happy.
Rich, you got anything?
No, sir.
If Jerry's happy, I'm
All right, motion for adjournment. So moved. Thank everyone for coming.
Right there with the big old post, you just sit there.